Billy Stewart, Assistant Pastor here at Solid Rock Tabernacle, 1325 Rudy Road in Alma, Arkansas. Thank you for joining us for the broadcast. I'd like to extend this personal invitation for you to come join us in one of our spirit-filled services. Our Sunday school begins at 9 a.m., our Sunday morning worship is at 10 a.m., and our Sunday evening worship is at 6 p.m. We also have an exciting Wednesday evening Bible study that begins at 7 p.m. Come join us, won't you? 1325 Rudy Road in Alma, Arkansas. Hey, we'll save a seat for you. And now, let's join our service already in progress.
To chapter 9. Is there any questions so far to what we've covered so far on things? No? Okay. All right. Then let's go into chapter 9. Verse number 1. And God blessed Noah and his son, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth on the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb I have given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Well, in other words, don't eat rare meat. If it's still got blood in it, you're not supposed to eat it. If it's bleeding still, you're not supposed to eat it. Okay? Yeah. That's what it says. Medium rare. As long as all the blood's cooked out of it, you're okay. Yeah. Is this part of the law? Well, yeah, it's part of the dietary law, but it was what was given to Noah, but it's still also part of the moral law too. I opened up a can of worms. People want, I want rare steak. All right. Yeah, if it's still moving, don't eat it. All right. Well, the world that Noah comes into when he comes out of the ark, the world that he enters into as he comes out of the ark, it is vastly, vastly different than the world he knew before he went into the ark. Yeah. Okay. And God gave Noah a mandate. If you see it, it's the same mandate that he gave Adam in Genesis 1 and 28. He said, be fruitful and multiply. Okay. Now also, if you remember back in Genesis 1, Adam received instructions on what he was to eat. Genesis 1:29, 2:15 to 17. God tells Adam what he can eat. He's doing the same thing here to Noah. He's telling him, okay, here's what you can eat. Now remember, up until this time, the line of Seth, the children of God, the righteous ones, have not eaten meat yet. All right? They've not been given the command or the permission to eat meat. So now Noah is given specific permission to eat meat. He says, you can eat animals. This was permission that Adam was never given. Okay? Now, why did God do this? Well, maybe, just maybe, the earth was less productive agriculturally after the fire or after the flood. So God gave man permission to eat meat. But this comes with a consequence. Uh-huh. No, the animals weren't able to talk. Yeah. Yeah. Eh? Well, some belief that some people believe that they were. Whether they could or couldn't, I don't know. It doesn't specifically say. The Bible doesn't specifically say whether they could, but some people believe they could. So, but this comes with God giving Noah permission to eat animals. It comes with consequences. What is one of those consequences? Huh? Animals may eat you? Yeah. That's one thing. It said it in what we read. Okay, you can't eat raw meat, but what is the consequences? What happened with the animals? The animals now had the fear of man in them. See, before the animals didn't fear man. Okay? Because there was no reason to fear man. Yeah, we weren't eating them, so they would, we weren't predators to them, so there wasn't any reason for them. Okay? So they didn't fear men. Now, God says, okay, I'm going to let you eat meat. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Now all the animals are going to be afraid of you. Now all the animals are going to fear you. Okay? That's why, that's one of the consequences. And you see it now, it's instinctual in animals that automatically they're going to be afraid of you. No matter what the animal is. When they see man, they're afraid of man. Yes?
So before the flood, pretty much all the humans were herbivores. Now, after the flood, they're omnivores.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, were the animals all eat plants too?
Most likely. Okay. All right. Now, if animals were killed and eaten, then God says if you're going to kill the animals and you're going to eat them, then you have to give proper respect for the flood. For the blood. Okay? Getting blood and everything else mixed up tonight. Okay? You have to have proper respect for the blood. Why? The blood is the life. Yeah. Blood represents the life principle in the animal. And it shows the life principle in us too. The blood is very important for us as well. Okay? The blood is what gives you life. Carrying oxygen, nutrients and everything through the body. So the blood is what gives you life. Okay? Yeah. Your heart can keep beating, but if it's not pumping blood, it's not doing anything. It's not doing any good. We got to have blood. Blood is the life force. And the importance of blood is shown a lot of times in the Bible, and we see how important it is by how many times the word blood is used in the Bible. Anybody care to guess how many times it is?
765.
Not bad. Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. 447. 447 times the word blood is used in the Bible. Now, the respect for the blood isn't based on any kind of mysticism or superstitions, okay? It's just that blood represents the life of the being. When blood is poured out, life is poured out. Okay? It's that simple. Yeah, his blood cried out to God. Okay? So every time one of my cats scratched me or something and the blood drops down, I said, I'm losing some of my life right there. Yeah. But when blood is poured out, life is poured out. Let's look at the significance of the blood real quick. Okay? Blood was a sign of mercy for Israel at the first Passover, Exodus 12:13. Remember, they said you have to put the blood of the lamb on the doorposts. Okay? Blood sealed the covenant with Israel, Exodus 24:8. Blood sanctified the altar, Exodus 29:12. Blood set aside the priests, Exodus 29:20. Blood made atonement for God's people, and blood sealed the new covenant, Matthew 28 or 26:28. Blood justifies us. Right? We're justified by the blood. Romans 5:9. Blood brings redemption. Ephesians 1:7. Blood brings peace with God. Colossians 1:20. Blood cleanses us. The blood of Jesus cleanses us. Hebrews 9:14 and 1 John 1:7. Blood gives entrance to God's holy place. Hebrews 10:19. Blood sanctifies us. Hebrews 13:12. And blood enables us to overcome Satan. Revelation 12:11. So you see, the importance of blood is there. It's very important. Even before the blood of Jesus was spilled, blood was very important. The blood from the sacrificial animals had to be sprinkled on the altars. It had to be, certain things had to be done with it in order for them to be forgiven of their sins. Right? So blood is very, very, very important in the Bible because it is the life force. So think about that for just a second when it comes to Jesus. Jesus shed his life force, his life essence, his blood. Okay? And we are washed with the blood. What happens when we're washed? We're covered. We get, right? Everybody agree with that? Yeah. We covered that? Okay. So we are actually covered with Jesus' life force, his life presence. Okay? All right, let's move on to verses 5 through 7. And surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast, will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. For whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. All right. According to God's command, when a man's blood is shed, there has to be an accounting for it. Why? Okay. Why else? Because man was created in God's image. So man's life is precious. Man's life is significant. Man's life has a great purpose. And it cannot be taken without an account being given to God. Okay. Yeah. This is God's initiating capital punishment here. If you'll notice, if you remember, when Cain and Abel when Cain killed Abel, God didn't kill him. God didn't say, we have to kill you now, right? God banished him. And said, if anybody kills you, then they're going to have to answer to me. Right? Now, God's saying, if any man kills a man, then he needs to be killed.
Now, are there certain circumstances where accident or self-defense or something like that?
Ah,
Does it talk about that?
yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Very good question. But life is precious and can't be taken without giving an account to God because life is valuable. And when murder is committed, the death penalty is in order. Now, there is a difference between killing and murder.
Murder is like premeditated. That's
Okay. Not all killing is murder. Okay? But all murder is killing. Yeah. It's kind of like not all hot tubs are jacuzzis, but all jacuzzis are hot tubs. Okay? Because jacuzzi is a brand name. Okay. Let's get into this. Let's look, because there are two different words for killing and murder. They're two very distinct words that are used in the Bible. First of all, the Hebrew word for killing is harag. Okay? This is killing associated with things like in war, okay? Self-defense, defending your family, defending yourself, even as far as accidental killing. If you kill somebody by accident, right, then that's not considered murder. Now, the Hebrew word for murder is rasach, and this is killing intentionally or with malice. Okay? Malice means anger with ill intent. Okay? The Bible teaches the punishment of the guilty is the role of human governments. Human government are the ones that are supposed to delve out this punishment. God said that it's what's required, but humans still have to do it. Remember, God said that, if you remember what we read before, God said that if a man's blood is spilled, then it is required, his blood is required by man, meaning you need to kill this man, okay? This is something very important. It also teaches that the guilt of unpunished murder defiles the land. What is some unpunished murder that is defiling? Our land is being defiled right now.
There's people. There's also people that instead of they get life in prison instead of getting the death penalty.
Okay.
That's the same. They're not being, they're not being put to death. They're made to live.
Well, yeah, they're made to live in prison, but there again, God says that's the decision of the government, but God's allowing the death penalty on this. And the death penalty is usually reserved for somebody that commits really heinous crimes in the states where it's legal, But God's saying that the Bible tells us unpunished murder defiles the land. Now, what happens when the land is defiled? It's no longer holy. The land becomes a cesspool of corruption and all these other things. Yeah, could be, hey, but I'm not talking about overseas or anywhere else. I'm talking about right here in this country. Yeah, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, some of these big cities, but it's all over the place now. I said when I was growing up, when I was you boys' age, especially Riley's age, when the news came on, if somebody was murdered in Fort Smith, it was the whole newscast. That was everything. Now, if it even rates a few seconds on the news, it's only going to get about 30 seconds or so. Just a blur. Nobody cares anymore. Okay? Because the land's been defiled. But there's one way, there's one murder that has been happening that defiles the land and is continuing and continuing. Abortion. Abortion. We are allowing abortion to happen. It is unpunished. We're not doing anything about it. Okay? Well, we can, but it's going to take a while to get those people out of office, in order to change it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. But we have, yes.
But what if somebody has to have an abortion or else it will kill them?
Well, we're not going to get into the what ifs on abortion and everything. That's too deep of a discussion for this tonight. And there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of what ifs out there when it comes to all of these things, a bunch of other things too. And now the way I answer what if is, what if bullfrogs had wings? They wouldn't bump their hind end every time they jumped. Okay? So we can do what ifs all we want to. Yeah, I understand. Okay. But look at this. Look at what he says. At the hand of every beast will I require it. Now this is a strong command. Think about that. To see the strength of God's command, he even requires a reckoning for the life of man from animals. What does that mean? If an animal kills you, God's requiring a reckoning for that. So even the animals have to face the consequences of killing a human. God does not condone the unlawful killing of any kind. Okay? God doesn't like us. God doesn't like man to be killed. Okay? Now there again, man to be murdered. There again, in wartime, that's something entirely different. That's killing. That's not murder. In self-defense, police officers having to do it. Okay? Somebody comes in and tries to hurt my family, I'll let God sort it out. But it's just, I'll put them down and God will take care of it. And if he requires it of me, I'll ask for forgiveness. All right, let's go on. Be fruitful and multiply. Saw that in the first set of scriptures that we read. Now he's saying it again. This command is repeated. Why? Because it needed emphasis. The earth needed repopulating. We needed. There was. There wasn't anybody here. There was Noah and his wife, his kids, their wives. That's it. So we needed to repopulate the world real quick. All right, let's go into verse 8 through 11. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. God saying, no more I'm not going to destroy the world with the flood. He makes a covenant with mankind. He even makes a covenant with the animals. So I'm making a covenant with you. I'm making a covenant with all the animals that crawl around, that fly around, or anything. I'm making a covenant with everything. He says, never again will I destroy everything with a flood. Okay? And he won't. This is repeating the promise that God made in chapter 8, verses 21 and 22. Now, why did God make this covenant? Why did God make this covenant with mankind? Come on, get involved in it tonight. Well, yeah. God didn't think he did anything wrong, okay? God wasn't up there going, maybe I made a mistake of killing everybody. He didn't do that. Right? God didn't think that what he did was too harsh. We don't hear of it. Try to warn them, yeah.
And they didn't listen, so he showed them, look, this is what I'm going to do. He said, I can do it again, but I won't do it with flood.
I'll do it with something else next time. And he didn't think it was too harsh, you know. I'll just wipe out everybody and start all over again. Okay? He made this promise because he did things in the post-flood world that would pretty much will guarantee that the evil conditions before the flood wouldn't be repeated. Okay? Okay? Yeah, and we're going to look at that in just a second. One of the biggest things that God did in regards to this is he shortened the lifespan of man. He shortened his lifespan. Man is no longer going to live 800-900 years. You're going to get about 100, maybe. If you nowadays, yeah. Okay. Now, he made sure that things wouldn't be exactly like they were before the flood. But the Bible does tell us that things will be similar to the days of Noah. Okay? And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the earth being similar to the days of Noah. Okay? But God's not going to destroy the earth with a flood again. Okay? But God will destroy the earth. Right? We studied about that in Revelation. God's going to destroy the earth. The old earth is going to pass away. How do you think it's going to pass away? By fire, not by flood. Okay? So this time it's going to be a fire, not a flood. All right? Now we will probably finish up a little early tonight because I got into something that I did not want to start touching on until afterwards, until next week. So we might get done a little bit early tonight. I don't know. Okay. Let's look at Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 17. And God said, "This is a token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations." That means from now on, for all your generations. "I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth." So God's kept, yes. Yeah, but it's to when it says God remembered something, it is not that he forgot it in the first place. It's just that it's in the forefront of his mind again. Okay, so it's not that he ever forgot it. It's just right there. And every time we see that rainbow, that's what he's talking about here, is a rainbow. All right, in the clouds. Okay. But God's covenant was made not only to humanity, but to every living creature on the earth. He says, I'm making this covenant not just with you, but with every creature. Okay? Now, we'll be able to see this rainbow. But see, there wasn't a rainbow before. Why? It never rained. There was no clouds, really. There was a water vapor that covered the earth, but that all came down with the flood. Okay? So now, after the flood, now the atmosphere no longer has that water vapor protecting cover over it, which shortened lifespans, which did a bunch of other things. But it also it also made it possible for the water to come down, to evaporate, go back up, make clouds, and that's where we see the rainbow come from. Yeah, the water cycle. But because the blanket of water was released and the water cycle was changed in the flood, it made a big difference. And this is the first occurrence of a rainbow. Okay? So God made the rainbow as a sign to Noah and to all generations. From now on, every time you see a rainbow, you're driving down the road and you see a rainbow. I love seeing rainbows when they come. Like that, okay? Because when I see that rainbow, I do remember God's covenant with us, with mankind. That he's never going to destroy the world by flood again. And it was a sign. It's come down through the generations through Noah all the way down to us. He's not going to do it. That rainbow that he put in the sky is to show that he would be faithful to his covenant. That was a sign that he gave us that says, I'm going to be faithful to the covenant that I have given you. God makes covenants with man. Does God ever break his covenant with man? No. But wait a minute. There's been times that God has promised man something, and then it either came to pass and was taken away or something like that. Why did that happen? Yeah, it was man that broke the covenant with God. It wasn't God that broke the covenant with man. Okay? So we were saying, I believe in Sunday school, we're talking about it. God turns people over to, remember, a reprobate mind. What is a reprobate mind? A reprobate mind is an evil mind. So God punishes people not by sending down fire and brimstone and everything else. God punishes people by giving them exactly what they want. The evil that they're asking for, he gives it to them. Okay? He lets them waller in their own filth, so to speak. Okay? This rainbow is a sign of God's faithfulness to every one of his promises. Every single one of them. His covenant of peace with us is as sure as the covenant that he made with Noah. Now, do we see rainbows mentioned in the Bible any other time? I don't know. How many say yes? How many say no? How many say, I don't know? How many say, I don't care? Okay. rainbows are mentioned in the Bible, but other times that rainbows are mentioned in the Bible, it's mentioned in the context of God's enthroned glory. The rainbow above his throne. Okay? Remember, we talked about that some in Revelation. The rainbow above his throne. God not only looks at the rainbow on earth to remember his covenant, he also looks at the rainbow that surrounds his throne. And when he sees that, when he's there, he's enthroned in heaven, and above him is that rainbow, and is continuously there. And as he sees it, as God sees this, he's committed to remaining faithful to his covenant. Along those lines, the believer glories in the sovereignty of God. Why? Because God's sovereignty is on the side of the believer. Hold on. I don't know why that popped up. I turned. Okay. Because God's sovereignty is on the side of the believer. And no good purpose of God will ever be left undone. Every time God makes a promise, the promise is going to be fulfilled. Here's the problem with the world today. God makes a promise to us, and we want it fulfilled right now. I know many of you have been prophesied over. I know Pastor Gilmore has done it. I know others have done it. They've prophesied over most of you here, probably almost every one of you here in this church. He's prophesied. Okay? And when you get that prophecy and we go, I want it right now. The guy's saying, no, you might not get it right now. He's going to give it to you in his time, not in your time. And the problem is that we want it right now. Right this second. Because we live in a fast food society. Microwave world.
But we're also human, so sometimes some things take us time.
Uh-huh.
God can make it work like then, but then our minds are going,
Yeah.
you know, we've got to learn about it.
Yeah.
And find this out and then study about it.
It takes us time to get prepared for it. Exactly. We have to be ready for it. Okay? But no good purpose of God is ever going to be left undone. Now, the world has stolen the rainbow. Okay? Yes?
How long has this happened for? Like, when did they first steal the rainbow?
That's a very good question. Okay? Well, let me explain. Gilbert Baker made the rainbow into a flag in 1978 for gay pride. Okay? He was an artist. He was a gay artist, and one of the gay politicians in California came to him and commissioned him to make a flag, and he made it with a rainbow. And he said for two reasons. One is because the rainbow shows the diversity of everything. All right? But he also said that it was chosen because the rainbow is a part of nature.
Well, what they're doing is not part of nature.
Okay? But
It goes against nature.
But by saying that the rainbow, and they take the rainbow and they say it's part of nature, what does that do? It takes away from God, yeah.
But it makes it show that what they're doing is actual nature.
Mm-hmm.
Natural.
It implies that being gay is only natural. Okay? That's what they're trying to imply. Well, some people are just born that way. Some people are just, it just happens. Just happens. I've heard a lot of the trans activists of late that have been saying, well, those that claim to believe in God, they go, well, I was born in the wrong body. It's just God made a mistake. Well, if your God made a mistake, you're serving the wrong God, because my God doesn't make mistakes. Okay? He gets it right the first time. But there was another reason why this was chosen. There was another reason. Satan chose. Satan caused the rainbow to be chosen. Why? Okay. Blasphemy. All right. By using the rainbow in the perverted way that he uses the rainbow, in the abominable way that he does it, it causes man to forget the true meaning of the rainbow. Okay? When you see a rainbow now, what do you think of? You see a rainbow on a building, anything like that, what do you think of? Irish gold, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we think of the alphabet people. Yeah. That's what it has become. What do you think would happen if we put a rainbow on our sign out here? What would people think? Oh, you're LGBTQ, you're the alphabet people friendly, okay? But that's not what it is. The rainbow is showing that it's the covenant between God and man. That's what the rainbow is all about. Okay? That's the purpose of the rainbow. But Satan has stolen it, he's perverted it, he's twisted it around to make people think of something else when they see the rainbow. Okay? It's all about the glory of God and his glory as he sits on the throne. I don't know why I put question marks after those. Okay? But when we see it, the way I wrote it, it actually is a question, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, is it? I answered my own question. Is it about when we see a rainbow, what do we think now? Do we think about the greatness of God, his faithful covenant to mankind? Is it about...
I do when I see a rainbow in the sky, I think about God. When I see like a little rainbow flag sticker on somebody's vehicle, I think, okay, that's...
Yeah. There's one of the alphabet people. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. But we don't, normally when we see a picture, now in nature when we see it after a storm or something like that, when we see after rain and we see the rainbow, okay? Yeah, most of us think about the awesomeness of God. Most of the people in the world don't think, oh, look, the sky's gay. And they don't think that.
I also think that's God telling you the storm is over.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that. But
Don't give the LGBTQ any more ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Those clouds are gay. Okay? They got the gay pride flag. Hey. But that's not. But when we see a rainbow somewhere other than in nature, in the sky and things like that, when we see it painted on a building, when we see it used somewhere on an emblem, what we think about is the way that Satan has perverted this symbol of God's great covenant to us. And that's exactly what he has done. He has perverted God's great symbol of his covenant to us and made it something that is an abomination to God. Now, if you go up there and talk to people, and I imagine if any of the alphabet community is listening to this, they would be saying, that offends me. Well, you know what? You stealing the rainbow, it offends me. I'm offended by it. I want my rainbow back. Hey. It was ours first. Yeah. You stole it from us. It was ours first. 20 years ago, if you drove by somewhere, even the early 2000s, if you drove by somewhere and you saw a rainbow, like on a child daycare center, saw a rainbow, you never thought anything of it. You wouldn't think a thing about it. Oh, isn't that pretty? That's real nice. Hey, now you're going, what are they teaching the kids in that daycare? I'm not going to take my kids to that daycare. What are they teaching them there? See? I want my rainbow back. It's my rainbow. It's our rainbow. I want it back. I think we need to take it away from them. Okay? It is a sign of God's covenant to us. It is not meant to be an abomination to God, which is what they have made it. Yes? Uh-huh. Jesus wasn't white? Well, no, huh? Yeah. Yeah, Jesus was brown, but that's all right. It doesn't really matter on that, And now I understand that there are some Jews out there that are whiter than I am. They're pretty much lily white. Some Jews, if they walk out in the sun, they're going to get burnt pretty bad. But the ones that live in Israel, Middle East, they're for the most part they're brown. They are not. Yeah, they're not white people. But it's that's the arrogance that has gone to the arrogance of man, and it has fallen through into the arrogance of even this country in ways that some people in this country do things. Okay? Because I heard somebody say one time that, I might have told y'all this before, I've heard somebody say one time, they go, if it ain't King James, it ain't Bible. I say, okay. Why? Well, it just has to be King James. It has to be in English. Why? Because Jesus spoke English. If Jesus spoke English, if it's good enough for Jesus, let me let you in on a secret. Jesus didn't speak English. Okay? And I ask people when they say, well, it's got to be King James. So what if we translate the Bible into Hindi, or Cantonese, Korean, or anything like that? It's not King James. It's in their language. But how are we going to get the gospel out if we don't put it in their language? Okay? Yeah. But that's just that's the arrogance of man. That's what man does. That everybody has to do things my way. Okay? And we can't do things one way. We can't do it our way. We've got to do it God's way. Okay? Used to be in the military, in the Air Force, they said there was 3 ways of doing things: the right way, the wrong way, and the Air Force way. Okay? Well, of course, I was in the Air Force. But there's only one way. There's no right way or wrong way. There's only God's way. That's the only way that we can do things. Okay? All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, amens, omes? So we finished a little bit early tonight, but we're getting into a part of it when we get into the second part of chapter 9. It's something I wanted to concentrate a little bit more heavily on, and I didn't want to get started on it tonight and then have to pick it up again next week. I knew we wouldn't get all the way through it. So we're doing that. So anyway, any questions, comments, concerns? Huh? The name Yeshua? Uh-huh. Okay. Yahweh is God. Yahweh is what they use for God. Yeshua is the name for Jesus. Yeshua is Hebrew for Joshua, what we would normally say Joshua. The Greekified way it was pronounced was Jesus, and it means the one who saves. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, I should have just said that.
It's all right. Okay. Because a lot of times when I got my earbud in my ear at work,
Uh-huh.
and I'm having to listen to my ads because I'm not paying $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
The Israel, or I don't know what he is, Easterner,
Uh-huh.
going on there talking about how they, going out and doing their mission, all that.
Yeah.
He's talking about, coming in and, everybody doing a little preaching there for a minute.
Yeah.
And